we kind of going back to the teaching kids to code sort of dynamic. A big part of a career path in business is experience, is your experience. Where have you been? What have you done, etc. When AI can kind of obviate all of that out, how do you how would you advise folks that are early in their career to live and thrive in this world? Because the executive, I mean, like you say, for the decision makers, this is only good news, right? It's faster, it's more effective, maybe it's fewer, you know, people that have to manage, et cetera, cost, et cetera, et cetera. But how do people craft their career paths to get up to those positions now?
You know, I've actually written a few articles now on Martech talking about this. And I think this is, the proper thing. This is the perfect question to be asking is how do you look around that corner a little bit further? And my resolution is largely driven by my, now deep exposure into competently and competencies and skills and understanding these things and using as an example, like software engineering, as an example. You need people that know how to that have the mental and emotional agility to keep pace with change, have the communication skills to be really effective in stressful situations, collaboration skills that can pull people together and come up with ideas, and just I've had this conversation with my son who's in high school right now. Like I would have told him a year ago, study computer software engineering. Today, I'm loading LM Studio onto his gaming computer and teaching him how to download, open source models onto his computer and play with them. And what it's going to be about is taking a half step back again. If this were just about training people on AI, it'd be a catastrophe because, again, one of those articles I wrote for Martech, I looked at a Pew Research project, and it was like 11,000 respondents across the U.S. And the ability for people to say that they were receptive to AI is unfortunately really heavily skewed by gender and by race. Have heavily skewed. And so if all you like uh men, white and Asian, are like off the charts, and the point isn't like one's good or one's bad. The point is that as an organization is it to sound the like the yellow flag, to raise it, to say, wait a minute, everybody take a stop here. This isn't about, going to an AI symposium and teaching everybody how to use it. There are soft skills that are driving the negative responses by a majority of people in your workforce today that you need to first address. There's resistance to change. Which AI is just another element of change. But there's been so much change culturally in the last half or quarter century, more so than all of the prior century. So all the management philosophies, all the HR's training and skill philosophies that we've had are in the midst of changing. If you just look at like even the last 4 years, a global pandemic, like holy cow, working from home, like everything has changed. And AI, in a sense, is just another one of those big elements of change, and people are pushing back on that.
These changes. So maybe going. Let's bring this down. Let's get down to the details a little bit as folks are moving their way through the steps. We're talking about these tectonic plates moving around, but we still have to walk through our lives. So the steps that you're thinking of, how do you choose? I mean, I know you. I think you have a take, right, from our conversations of you're building a custom language. Is it better to start with custom GPTs? What do you think about the solutions that are out there? Is it good to start with one of those because there's some support and some community around them? Or what are the stepping stones
Yeah.
for folks, whether they're a student in high school or somebody in the middle of their career? to think about these GPTs and how to get started and how to move forward?
So the correct answer is to realize that, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever model you're talking about, fundamentally it's a consumer tool that sits on top of an enterprise application. So when people start to talk about AI and they're talking about the consumer front end tools, they need to first open the curtain and look behind. And the Wizard of Oz actually has, a billion other things that you can do. So the right answer is somebody needs to be knowledgeable enough to get you involved in an environment where all the constraints of the consumer tool are lifted. And so context window, the ability to communicate, the amount of throughput is all very much managed tightly in the consumer facing tools. Now, if you want to ask it single dimension questions, like I just went through a project of onboarding some client data, I realized there's all kinds of charts in this academic paper that I was working on that had more information that was outside of just the text itself. So I was using ChatGPT. I'd load it up there and say, analyze this in the context of this type of an environment and, focus on these 5 things in your output. It would read the entire chart. Like, it's really wickedly good at doing single dimension stuff. And it'll blow my mind every time I do that. So simply, like if you're trying to, read an analyst report, hey, you could take the text, and read that and understand it, but then grab the charts, pop them into ChatGPT and tell explicitly analyze it from this perspective and give me these 5 types of outputs from it. And you can paste it back into the text that you have. You have something now that's far more valuable than you did before. The custom GPTs, I think, are really good as a point of starting and learning how you can affect the way that it thinks. Because you can, I 100% both these organizations, we are directing how the AI works, programming it to do stuff very specifically. That's a whole other world to get involved with. The custom GPTs are like just a crack of the door. You can kind of see a sliver of light where I can start to affect it some. But there's a whole other world once you open that door up that's beyond that. And that'll require some expertise.